Hello, this is the caller live from the Man Cave. You are watching the Cheese Room podcast, and it's the North London Derby. Are you ready? We are. Well, that worked well. Yeah, that was supposed to be, that was supposed to be an inspirational intro movie, but clearly we don't need one because we've got four wonderful people. I can style it out. It's good. I can be all night. I've just been told there's a Twitter space going on with the Tottenham Hotspur alumni, including Ledley King. So, thanks for tuning in to us rather than Ledley. If you want to leave, there's the door. Seamless. Let's go around the room. Let's introduce everybody. Becky, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It's a strange one for me doing a midweek show, but I've managed to kind of do everything and get everything done, and I'm here.
It is a strange feeling being here on a Wednesday night. I've got to be honest.
Yeah,
I've been out at the I've been out at the soft play all day today with my daughter, so I feel I feel worse than I did on Tuesday night after playing 9-a-side. HG, how are you? All the way from Vienna.
I'm good. I've got a lot of questions about what you just said, but I'm not going to say any of them. Yes, I'm all right. I've been off work for about a week, but I am going back to work tomorrow. So yay to that. And it's really hot today. It's like 28 degrees. So fantastic.
You do look a bit pink, actually.
I don't tan well. What do you want me to say?
Did you buy sunscreen? Is what I want to know.
I've got Irish grandparents, great grandparents. It's probably from them, but yes. I had a nice long walk along the river, along the Danube this afternoon.
Hang on a minute. Just go back. You've got Irish grandparents?
Well, actually, probably great-grandparents.
Okay. That brings me on to our next guest, who looks a lot like you and happens to be from Ireland.
They didn't happen to be like holidaying in like the middle of Ireland in the middle of the 1920s. No, just assuming you're out.
Not in the middle. No, they're from what's the famous town close to Cork by the coast? Something.
Killarney.
I should know it. It's quite famous, but for some reason it's going away from my brain now. But no,
Killarney, Kilkenny.
No one needs to know my family history. But my great grandmother had it off with an American seaman. Anyway, yeah, long story. But yes,
seaman.
Yeah, a naval officer. For those of you that have, better minds than Caller.
A diver, apparently. It's one of those ones where it's
leave him out of
it. Hey, listen. There's a town in Donegal called Muff, and they have a diving club. Truth, look it up. Go Google it.
Oh, there's a holiday.
Welcome to Ireland. Like it's one of those
slipped into the gutter immediately.
Keith knows. Kinsale. Keith knows. Thank you, Keith.
Ah, yes.
Oh my gosh, I knew it was famous.
Wow,
infamous might be a better word.
So there we go, Stephen. How are you?
Not too bad. Like hopefully that video, playing as well as it did is a foreboding for tomorrow night's clash of the Titans.
I can take a horse to water, but I can't make it drink. We've got the technology. It worked well in cheese room rehearsals. Unfortunately, I actually think it's the club blocking it.
Yeah,
because they didn't
a copyright strike,
stealing their thunder from Twitter Spaces. That's my theory, anyway.
As a man who does a live radio show for 4 hours every Sunday, I feel your pain when the computer goes, "No, I'm not playing this 3-minute clip." On you go, and you're like, I was about to go, run back to the microphone, going, "Yeah, nothing's gone wrong here," But thanks for inviting me back on the show, folks. It's greatly appreciated. I'm verging on being a resident gooner, which I suppose
you are kind of. And I've got to be honest, you're a very nice gooner, which goes well. I always say that to people. Stephen's actually one of the good gooners, which are hard to find. Let's be honest. And do you know what? I think you've got the award for the most invited back guests.
Hey.
You're slightly ahead of Dave from Wolves, who is also a top bloke. Yeah,
I don't know, but like I said, it's nice. It's nice to be back on. Like I said, I enjoy coming on this show. It's nice just to talk football with people who give a damn about football. Like, never mind it being Tottenham, Arsenal, or anything like that. It's just we care, you know. It's, as we said in the first show. So, like, yeah, and the stakes have gone rather through the roof over the last couple of months, haven't they?
Absolutely indeed. Well, look, today is the biggest, the preview for the biggest North London derby since Wenger versus Yol in 2006. What a quality bit of biffo that was. Massive biffo on the touchline. So let's talk through it. Let's get straight into it and look at team news. So expected lineups. We'll get to you in a minute, Stephen. But let's talk about what we're thinking we will probably see. Pretty much the same as last time out, right?
Pretty much the same team we've had for what, 6 weeks now?
Yeah.
Once Doherty got knocked, that's what we're going to see, almost certainly.
Can't see Kulusevski coming off the bench again, can we? I mean, it's unlikely, Becky.
No. And hopefully Seth will be all right and he won't pull up or anything with a hamstring or something. Because then we'd have to make changes, wouldn't we? But hopefully he's okay. I didn't see too much of him in the videos they put out today. It was all about Son, Kane, Kulusevski.
Yeah, it's because they're the sexy players, though, isn't it? You know, they're the ones that get all the press. You know, there you go. Stephen, who do you fear in that lineup? Who strikes fear into your Gouda soul?
Well, it's the front three as always, isn't it? Like we saw against Liverpool on Saturday night that it doesn't matter how much of the ball Tottenham get, whether it be 20%, 30% possession. If it's those three on the counter, you're going, uh-oh. You know, like, and the one time Højbjerg decides to make a run into the box, it's that time. It's 91st minute, and it's like, oh, who's in the box? Not him! You know, like, it's like, why is he there? Anyone else? And it would have been 2-1, and this Arsenal fan would be a lot more nervous about tomorrow night than he is. Like, so Tottenham are built for that, though. They're built to soak up pressure and just bang. Kane gets the ball, he looks up, two really good runners. Which one I pick? That one, and he scores. You know, he's world class at it, world class at it, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do that against, not even Arsenal on Thursday night, against Burnley on Sunday, who are just going to dig the Maginot line on the 18-yard box and go try and get through us.
Absolutely. How do you think you'll line up then, Stephen? What have you got?
I think Ben White's going to come back. That looks like the big news, where it's not going to be coming back.
Do you have all your players available, or have any of them got COVID?
No COVID. No. For once, we are COVID free once on. And to be fair, like, you know, our game was called off because we had one player out. But, you know, Liverpool did miss our game because they had 25 false positives. So, you know, like, let's not throw stones in glass houses. But no, as many people as we could hope to have fit are fit. You know, no Tierney, no Partey. But apart from that, it looks like everyone's there. Literally, no Tierney, no Partey, and no Partey.
Do you know the statistics on how many asthmatics there are in the Arsenal squad, or
in the Arsenal? I think it's we did look up this a couple of months ago, because it's only 2 or 3. Like it's 10%.
So 95% is what you're saying.
Yeah, 2 or 3% of the Arsenal players have asthma. But you've seen Liverpool, right?
Yeah,
like that's been out there for 2 years. This isn't new. Like we've not that we suspected something's gone on at Liverpool, but if you are fond of a conspiracy theory, then there are an awful lot of dots in a very straight line. You know, when it comes to, you know, taking supplements and, you know, getting the most out of what the rule is. Sky cycling team were brilliant at this. You know, Chris Froome, Bradley Wiggins, etc. They were brilliant at blurring that line. You know, Lance Armstrong, you know, for years would say, I've never taken anything. I've never injected myself with a drug ever. I've never done it. And then he found out he was literally pumping liters of blood into himself that he had a fridge in Italy. You know, like, he was telling the truth, but he was just taking drugs better than everyone else. And even Arsenal, like the late 90s, the first thing Arsene Wenger did, get out all the junk food, bring in creatine. And then suddenly 2 years later, Arsenal are running around, you know, like like robots. Like it's not a new thing to do this. It's just Liverpool looks like they've found a little loophole that seemingly they helps them more than anyone.
Steve,
it is called cheating. Yes.
Can I ask you, Stephen? Do Arsenal fans hate Liverpool as much as Spurs fans seem to? Because because it's weird. Like, I mean, obviously I don't live in England. I haven't lived in England for a number of years, but I grew up with Liverpool being the best team in the country, and so it's still a bit odd to me that people seem to hate Liverpool because they're successful, and they don't like Klopp because he's doing good things for Liverpool. But I don't remember the hatred being as strong when Rodgers was doing as well, or when
it was for you.
Hodgson. Yeah, but I don't like Rodgers, but I don't have an issue with Liverpool or Klopp. But it's just weird to me. So like I wondered if it was a more than just a Spurs thing, because to me it feels like a very Spurs thing to hate Klopp and therefore hate Liverpool.
It does sound like it, to be honest, because like half of it is like, yes, Liverpool are doing really well, and yes, all those Liverpool fans that we made a laugh off for 20 years ago because they won nothing have now all piped up and gone, see, we're back. But that's offset by all the Manchester United fans we are now laughing at. So for being in the exact same position, we can now go to them and go, ha ha, you're now like Liverpool 20 years ago, and it's their worst nightmare. Yeah. So, it's balanced off, 50-50 like that. It was about like Liverpool were not good enough for too long. It's about time they got back with the resources they have and just the way, sports works in cycles. It was about time Liverpool got back to somewhere near being the top. Maybe not this, but, like United couldn't be this good for 20 years. And they were. Now they're reaping the price of it. Arsenal haven't won the league in 17 years, 18 years. Like it's bound to correct itself eventually, hopefully. But at some time, like Liverpool fans were waiting, and we made laugh at them for waiting, and now they're jubilant and saying we're back, and we're like, yeah, and I'd rather watch them than City. So, like at least Liverpool are doing it without the backing of a Gulf nation or a war criminal.
That's
so true. Like at least with them, they're not doing it quote unquote the right way, but they're doing it the way we would like to do it through finding transfer targets that are a little bit out of sync, finding little gems and developing them and calling them our own, like Luis Diaz was good at Porto. He wasn't this. Mohamed Salah was brilliant at Roma. He wasn't this. Sadio Mane was really good at Southampton. He wasn't this. Liverpool can lay claim to saying, yes, we brought in really good players, but we've made them world class. They've been brilliant at us. So this is our team. This is our players. This is our style of football. They have an identity and they're living through that identity, and you can't really blame them for that at the moment.
No, I can blame them for a lot, to be honest. And asthma is just the latest on my list, really. I'll just add that to the rap sheet. That's what I will do. Same question to you Tottenham heads. Becky, let's start with you. So who do you fear out of that Arsenal lineup and why?
I must admit, I don't know the Arsenal team that well. Don't really watch their matches. But Saka, I've heard of him. And the one that gets sent off a lot, who's he called? Is he called Xhaka?
Yes.
Is that his name? And that's about it, really. I don't fear them. I think we're going to win.
I'll take that, Becky. HG, your opinion?
I probably watch Arsenal a little bit more. I certainly watch football. I don't know. It's like Arsenal have bought some very good players. And I don't like saying that. I miss the days when they had some very overpaid, very over-the-hill players. They don't have those anymore.
They're still there. There's still some there. Don't worry.
Yeah, not really though. I mean, they don't play anywhere near as much, and they're certainly not captain.
No. No. Thank God for that.
Yes, it's. I mean, obviously Saka is a very good player, and he'll look fantastic in Man City blue very shortly. But after that, I really like Martinelli. I feel like Martinelli is kind of Richarlison, but actually with a bit of skill. He seems to have that a bit of nastiness about him, but he's a good player. He may not play because he doesn't play every game, but I think he's a good player. Smith Rowe has very good control. You can't deny that on the half turn he's a very good player. Odegaard, same there. Their attack is very good, and I think they've struggled mainly through injury this season to try and figure out which two should be behind them. because Partey's not been
who would
the whole
know
season.
that? Who would know that all it took was Lacazette to get injured and out of the team for him to start scoring goals up top?
Yeah,
I've heard of him.
And not for good reasons either. That's the problem.
Was it COVID that got him out in the end?
Yeah, well, that and it's like try. I am trying. Oh, like he links up play. Yes, but he doesn't shoot or score. Yes, but he links up play, and it's like no. Well, Nketiah can try, and then Nketiah finally gets a go. And no, he's all right. Nketiah's not going to be a world beater. He's not going to get anywhere near the England squad, but he just offers a little bit more than Lacazette does going forward, which is he runs forward. He can come back, but he also offers a little bit of a threat over the top, and that's all you need. You just need the threat of it. It doesn't need to be potent.
It feels as if Lacazette has decided that his job is to do kind of what Kane does and pass it to people who make all the effort.
But Kane can run.
And Kane can run and wants to every now and again, as long as Nuno's not in charge. I think, who am I scared of? It's weird because, like I think Saka's a very good player, but he can't do it by himself. And so individually, I'm probably more scared of Martinelli because I think he can probably do something by himself, or his pace will get him away very quickly. Just needs a simple pass from Odegaard, and that's it. I don't see that from any of the others. So I guess Martinelli, but yeah, it's a weird one because Arsenal, they're just a good team. I don't. You take one or two of those players out of it, and they'll struggle just like Spurs would. But they seem to have learned how to maximize what they have, which is annoying that they've done it with like 5 games to go this season.
And Nketiah's come out of nowhere, hasn't he? I mean, we didn't know much about him, to be honest with you, Stephen. Or I might be talking on behalf of. Well, we've established Becky doesn't know much about him.
He scored at Leeds, though, didn't he? Didn't he?
He was at Leeds.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I know who the players. I just don't know their names. I know what they look like.
But no, Nketiah was at Leeds. That's why he didn't celebrate the first goal.
Yes,
it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was such a shit goal. He's like,
I thought it was the fact
it was shocking though.
Yeah, that's what that belongs on the neither-side pitch on a Tuesday night in the village.
Yeah, no. If that happens down in your, if that happens to you, you're getting laps. That is no, you lap now. Get out of the game. No, or 10 press ups. It's like no, you can't do that. Like. Nketiah has been one of these up-and-coming players that just never got a chance to have 10, 12 games in a row. Like we sent him on loan to Leeds thinking, right, championship team, they desperately need a striker, playing for Bielsa, he runs a lot, perfect fit. And then Patrick Bamford decides, oh no, I'm actually going to become a really good player. And Nketiah can't put Patrick Bamford on the bench. And then as soon as you see that, you're like, okay, maybe he's not the world-class player we need. And then again, he's 5'7", he's 9 stone soaking wet. He doesn't really hold up the ball much. And when you've got players like Saka and Martinelli and Smith Rowe running this way and that way, you need kind of someone in the middle to hold it all together. And Nketiah's not really that player. But over the last few games, he's tried. And just from trying, he's opened up 10, 15 yards in front of the back four for the likes of Odegaard and Smith Rowe and Martinelli and Saka. Just give him a bit of space, something that Lacazette wasn't doing. He was almost bringing the defence back with him. And then there was no space out wide. So just him stretching the pitch a little bit has helped. But is that going to help against a back 5 like Tottenham's? Like that sits so deep anyway. So it's going to be a weird clash of styles, tomorrow night's game, because like who's going to get space? Tottenham aren't going to push up with the ball because they don't want to.
Yeah.
And Arsenal don't really like pushing up with the ball too much when they're playing against a back 5 because they want to attack the wings. So it's almost going to be like, you have the ball. No, because we want to counterattack. No, you have the ball because we want to counterattack. And as a result, it might... Yes.
Do you think that Arsenal will come for a draw?
I wouldn't blame them. I don't think...
The league is.
Yeah, like, over the last few months, Arsenal have come up, especially with when the last 15, 20 minutes kicks in and Arsenal are winning. They bring on Rob Holding and they go 5-2-3 and they kill the game. Kill it. Stone dead. Low block, Mourinho style. We're not running forward. We're going to have 2 quick runners and 8 back and no space. Bleep you, bleep the game. I don't care. And it's worked. It again. And Arsenal fans are almost, especially at home when they did it to City, where City had a long ball over the top to Rodri score. such was their desperation. They couldn't get through. They couldn't make any passes through. That Arsenal fans were almost taking it as, oh, lovely. Okay, here comes on Rod Holding. Right, that's it. 1-0, game over. It's. But
1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yes, back to the old days.
Yeah, wow.
Back to the old days. But I don't see them doing that for 90 minutes. I think they could do it for 20, but this is the big. I don't see them doing this tomorrow night because it's a different occasion. If it was just Tottenham Arsenal normal league game, fine. But this is the biggest game in the new White Hart Lane, right?
No.
Well,
we've had Champions League semi-final.
Okay, but this is
that would.
It's up there. Don't get me wrong, Stephen. We're getting a tifo out for you.
Yeah, but it's up
That's
there,
only happened once before, and that was for was it for City?
It was the Champions League
for Ajax, was it?
No, it was City.
Was it City?
Quarterfinal.
Okay.
So it's up there. So it's in top 3. And
so basically, we only give it for when Arteta shows up. Because he would have been there with City. Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah.
But
so can you do that when there's going to be such... Because the atmosphere in that game tomorrow night is going to be weird. Because you know that you can't... Not that a draw isn't good enough, because
it's not good enough. You can say that.
It's not good enough. Well, I think Arsenal are going to beat Newcastle on Monday night? Probably not, knowing us. But then Leeds, doing everything they can to sabotage themselves so that Everton don't have anything to play for the last day of the season. Happy days. But if it's 0-0 with an hour gone and we're sitting back and you're sitting back, that crowd's going to get tetchy real quick. And because you need to win and we know we don't. And it's just going to be interesting to see, because Tottenham, the more they push forward, the less good they get, if you know what I mean. We've seen them struggle against 5 at the back teams all year long, especially at home, where they do nothing. I've seen halves they played. I'm sure you too, but they don't even have one shot on goal half the time. Yeah. The Leicesters, the Crystal Palaces come to mind. When teams sit back and play deep, you're like, well, what do we do? And with no, I don't think is Sessegnon fit for tomorrow night. Who is playing left back? Is it going to be Ben Davies?
If Sessegnon's not fit, then it'll be Ben Davies.
Sessegnon is fit. There's nothing to suggest that Sessegnon isn't fit.
Okay, because he's a good attacker.
He's not been talked about in Conte's pre-match presser. So
okay, but if he's not fit and Ben Davies is your attacking left back,
but he's not.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's
I don't know. I'd probably be just as happy with Ben Davies on the left as I would Sessegnon. Really,
who'd be your third centre back then?
Huh?
Who'd be your third centre back then?
You could bring Joe Rodon in, Sanchez.
It would be Sanchez.
It would be Sanchez. Yeah.
And would you be happy about that? That's
no.
Yes. Yes.
Can I just string it back to reality? Sessegnon's fit.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with Sessegnon.
There is one thing. I know you mentioned you're supposed to like to sit deep. I'm not sure that's really true. We're very good at it, but I don't think we like to do it. It's certainly not like watching Mourinho, where we would literally just sit in front of on our 18-yard box. We do want to draw the opponents out as much as we can, right? I mean, I think that's definitely part of it. But I think that really our back three want to be certainly closer to the halfway line than to our own 18-yard box, and we know we're going to need to do that against Arsenal, and that might suit Arsenal, but it's as you said, if Arsenal want to attack down the wings, then there's going to be gaps in the middle, right? Because Romero will have to go out to get Martinelli, and Davies would go out for Saka, and so then Nketiah would be up against Dyer. That gives me a bit of fear. And then Odegaard or whoever's behind, if they get the space to play in front of Dyer, we're in trouble. So it's going to be Højbjerg and Bentancur really do need to sort themselves out and figure out who is staying with the creative player for Arsenal. But Spurs, we're this weird team where we're designed to attack down the wings, and we've got terrible wing backs, which is why we struggle to break teams down. Like Caller and I went to the Newcastle game about a month ago, and we weren't great. And Newcastle scored first, and we all sat there and thought, here we go. And we got a goal pretty much from a set piece. I think the corner was cleared and came back in, and Davies equalised. And after that, everyone felt okay again, and we got an early goal second half, and that was it. It's been like this for a few months, that if Spurs score first, everyone's laughing, and if we don't, it becomes panic time. And as you said, like, I don't know what Spurs would try. Like, if Spurs are 1-0 down with half an hour to go, which could easily happen, what are we going to do to change it? Because if you look at what Conte's done previously, we're not going to do that much. Take off a winger
for a winger. Yeah, take off a winger for a winger.
Exactly. Or maybe, like, bring on Lucas and put Kulusevski at wing back, which I don't see a future in at all. That just seems like a weird choice at any time. So yeah, we'll have more attacking players, but no, we'd have to do something a bit more drastic. So it is a weird one, but I think that Spurs, obviously at home, will want to take the game to Arsenal and will want to have most of the ball in the early stages, and we can't allow Arsenal to settle because we know how good they are. Like, they'll have numbers in midfield. They'll have the two that sit, and then obviously I assume it'll be what Xhaka and Elneny with Odegaard in front of them, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be like more of a midfield three. And those three will outnumber Højbjerg and Bentancur, and Spurs will have to do something about it. And that would probably mean a few, full-blooded tackles and hope to kind of knock them off the game, because otherwise we'll just get outnumbered in midfield, which we did against Brentford and we did against Brighton. It's a massive issue for us. But having said that, we're going to slaughter you 4-0. So
and it is one of those games where you can logically talk yourself through it, and then Kane scores a 30-yard missile after 6 minutes. You're like, oh, what shit. And he's done it before, and he could do it again. Like that.
He's due one. He's had a quiet 4 or 5 games, really. So he does like playing Arsenal, hasn't he? He's got a good record against Arsenal.
Yeah. And that's the difference between, like, as HG was saying earlier, that's probably the difference between Spurs' main threats and Arsenal's main threats. As good as Saka has been this year, and as good as Martinelli has been this year, there's not really been an occasion where one of them's just beaten 3 lads, put the ball in the top corner and scored. Yeah. Like Saka, beats 3 lads, puts a ball in, and then there's a little bit of there, maybe a lad getting the end of it, but that's just good wing play. Arsenal don't really have a lad who's going to get the ball and do what a De Bruyne does, or do what Kane does, or do what a Son does, which is beat 2 lads and bang, scores out of nothing. That's maybe the difference. Like, Arsenal need to work a goal, whereas Spurs could pull a goal out of their backside. And that might be the difference in a tight game where shots are the premium, where Son or Kane might just try one just because they haven't had the ball much, and because they're capable of putting one in the top corner from 30 yards, they do. And all you can do is tip your hat and go, well played. Like, it could be one of those games where it's just down to little details like that, where, if it comes down to set pieces, Arsenal are better. They've shown that. Beat West Ham 2-1 away with 2 good goals from corners. They conceded 1 goal from a corner all year, and that was against Leeds Saturday when everyone needed the Heimlich maneuver after 75 minutes. Like, it's going to be, like I said, with 20 minutes to go and it's 0-0. The longer it stays, the longer it stays 0-0, obviously the better it is for Arsenal, obviously. But with the crowd pushing Tottenham forward and wanting them to go to attack, with Tottenham built to try and draw Arsenal onto them, there's going to be that juxtaposition of how far do you push, knowing Arsenal can counter with 3 quick players. It's on such a fine edge where if you're a Tottenham fan, you want Tottenham to push, but at the same time, you can't risk Arsenal scoring 1 because a draw's no good to you. You need 2. So what do you do? It's almost like we're ahead on away goals in a way. Yeah.
So you'd expect to line up pretty much like this, right?
I think Ben White will play right back.
Oh, interesting.
I think we'll go 4 centre backs. We'll play our 4 best defenders, and we'll make sure your front 3 don't get the ball.
So you keep Tomiyasu at left back?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Ben White can play right back. He's played right back at Brighton before.
Tomiyasu versus Kulusevski. I like Kulu's chances, to be fair.
I'd rather Tomiyasu versus Kulusevski than versus Son. It's now, but I'd rather Tomiyasu than Cedric. That's the thing, like, Cedric is not a good defensive fullback. He's all right attacking, but defensively he's almost as liability as Tavares. So, I would play my 4 best defenders, and then if you have to play, if you want to go back to your 5, you can bring on Cedric, or you can play Xhaka like Tottenham used with Ben Davies, put him at left centre back and play your 5.
Let's have a look at how Spurs lined up last time we were at the Emirates earlier this season. So, totally different team. I mean, Son, Kane, Lucas, and Dembele there. Obviously, he's been shipped out. Ali's been shipped out. Tanganga's out, but would be nowhere near the first team, I would imagine. So just a totally different side, Becky.
Yeah.
Amazing how far you can come in a season, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously Tanganga's there's an injury, isn't there? And like you said, Ali's gone and Dumble's gone. Sanchez hopefully doesn't play on Thursday, but that would only be due to kind of either an injury early on or to sort of change formation. Yeah, we're a far better side now though, because obviously with Romero and Kulusevski and but yeah, it's interesting. It's a completely different formation as well.
Christ, Stephen. No wonder you won.
You look at that midfield and you're like, how? Like one of them can't even get in the Leon side, and one of them can't get in the Everton side. Like it's insane. And like I said, a defender from Ajax, in Sanchez, who was really good at, and it just hasn't fit in at all. A 4 that doesn't fit on paper at all. Reguilon is not a left back; he's a left wing back, and it's like, no wonder Arsenal tore them to bits, and that's why Conte was brought in to go, hi, this is our system. It helps that my system suits your squad, because it was the same system that Jose Mourinho wanted to play, and it's like, okay, let's go from there. So, but yeah, even but even our midfield that day wasn't great either. Xhaka was in the middle of his, I suppose, his bad period of the season where he couldn't string 2 passes together. And then, Saka was starting to get his mojo. Lacazette and Aubameyang were still trying to figure out who was going to be taking penalties or not. And it turns out neither of them were any good at it. There wasn't much going wrong. I remember saying at the start of the first podcast we did, it's like, we're not very good. You're not very good. Let's see who's the least bad. Because we were both playing awful at the time. So now we're both in semi-decent form. We're winning games, but we did lose to Southampton and Crystal Palace and Brighton in the last month. You're playing okay, but you're still drawing games you should be winning. And the draw at Liverpool is a fantastic result, but it's still a draw. It's one of those ones where it's like, are we confident in either of our sides to form to actually go out and score 3? I don't think Arsenal are right now. They're scrapping performances. They're winning good games, but they're winning 2-1s instead of 3-1s and 4-1s. They're not killing teams off. They should have killed off West Ham. They should have killed off Leeds. They didn't. So the idea that, yes, they've won games, but the idea they're going into this Tottenham side full of confidence and full of energy, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that's good. I'll take that, because we're going to turn the stadium into an absolute cauldron of noise tomorrow night. The last time there was a Tifon confirmed, it definitely was Man City. I was there. There I am.
I hope it's a better Tifo, because that one was wank.
I don't think it was that bad. You do like an exaggeration. It's not.
To dare to do is.
To dare is to do.
It's the first ever Tifo that was designed in portrait and then written up in landscape.
Yeah.
It's as soon as you stretch it out, you go, oh no. It's far too.
You're nitpicking. Have you ever done a Tifo?
Have I ever done a Tifo? Was this
not
the
you? Not
Have
you.
I ever thrown a shoe over a roof?
Talking to Stephen.
I think we might have done a couple. I think we did a couple back in 08 or 09 when we were half decent. I think for the semi-final against United we did one, and then 10 minutes into the game, people were covering their faces with it because Ronaldo was scoring from 40 yards over Almunia. But I think that was the end of it because But
to be fair, that stand lends itself to do it.
Yes,
doesn't it? It's beautiful, beautifully designed. So
just take the middle. Forget the sides. Just do the middle. That's it.
We're inclusive. That's the problem.
Yeah,
we don't want to feel the people in the upper wings to be left out without a carry bag. 100%.
Save Levy money for a start.
Yeah. The problem is you've got nowhere to hang it because English football is now free from all hooliganism at all times. And Dortmund have theirs, but they can hang it from a fence over the top of it and it drops down or goes up. With Tottenham, because it's so open air, because it's so well designed for people's viewing experience, there's nowhere to stick anything. So all you can do is have your little call cards and go, hi. and hold it up and go from there. Like it's a bit of a flaw in English football stadium now that they're so family friendly and nice seats, nice everything, that there isn't a big dirty fence to hang something up on and go feck you. Like they do in Italy or France. Like it's a case of we're all nice and sanitized here. Have this nice little placard that says, it's like giving someone a 6 on Strictly Come Dancing. I'm going to hold this for 5 minutes.
All true, Stephen, but they are pretty shit at European football compared to English clubs. So we've got something over them.
True.
Those damn continentals. They might have better tifos, but we've got a better what do they call it? HG?
A country coefficient is what you're trying to get.
Coefficient. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, we've got a much better coefficient. Boom.
Not thanks to Spurs or Arsenal this year.
No, true. Very true. Very true.
No.
It's actually thanks to Kata mainly. But there you go. So questions for you, Stephen. I've got a few. We've been thinking about these all week in the Cheese Room. What can we grill the Gooner with? Question number 1. When you bottled it in January.
When you ran away.
Gunners and runners. Do you regret not playing that fixture then, in hindsight?
No.
Good question.
Bearing in mind, let me finish the question. Bearing in mind, we were without Dyer, Romero, best defender in the league, Bentancur, Son, and Kulusevski. But we would have had Oliver Skip.
Yes, I've seen worse Tottenham sides beat us. Frankly, it's one of those ones where it's like, if it had been played, would I rather lose that game now and still be a point clear going into Monday night against Newcastle?
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing. Like what we have now is a chance basically just to go through. So do I rather have the game now? Yes, but at that time everyone was exploiting COVID rules, and did Arsenal take advantage of it? Yeah, they did. No point. To be fair. Most teams that had the chance to did. I don't think he had the chance to. I think he just had to call off a couple of games because you were riddled with it.
Well,
but remember, though, it affected us in Europe, didn't it? We weren't allowed to rearrange the fixture, whether we wanted to or not.
Yeah, you got knocked out because of it. And now look who's in that final. Roma and final.
I suppose Conte's point was really you should have had a 3-point deduction. Or a 3-0 win awarded to us, really.
I'm sure Middlesbrough. Remember, Middlesbrough got done for they had the flu and they were relegated basically because of it. I'm sure they're happy with it. But look, COVID rules were written on the back of a paper slip. It's like, let's get them out. Let's just make sure that get these games out as much as possible. We need the TV money. If teams are not able to complete a game, then okay, let's work it out. And there was always going to be a threshold of, if it's 3, then someone's going to have 3, and it's like, oh, geez, they've only got 3. If it's 4, they've only got 4, and so on. It did Arsenal, barely qualify for an exemption, yes, but they did qualify for an exemption. They weren't putting on anything. They were claiming something that they were right to claim.
I think it'll be. I think that'll add to the atmosphere.
Yeah. You're pissed. I would not blame ye at all for being pissed off one bit. Like that's fair. But at the same time, ye now have a better team to play us.
Yeah, this is it. Like I don't think any Spurs fan is really upset that it didn't happen in January. All it is something that will hang over you for the next I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
if Arsenal win tomorrow night, then it's only the only reason Arsenal win tomorrow night is because we cancelled the game on January.
I think also it was postponed very late, wasn't it? I knew people that had travelled over and had made arrangements, and it was that side of it as well. If it was done 3 days before.
Yeah, it was in January when the fixture pile-up was a mess anyway. Where it's Monday, Thursday, I think it was, or Sunday, Wednesday. And Arsenal had a game Sunday and then announced Monday morning, oh, yeah, we have 2 more lads. And then that went from 2 to 4, and then suddenly, well, we can't play. And we played the day before, and, everyone was going, And, then they changed the rule after it, because looking at what happened with Arsenal, it's like, that's not really.
That's taking the piss.
Didn't you have a lot of players out on loan as well?
We sold a whole load
of players. I mean,
all fit
out the rule.
Yeah, and then suddenly it was not by design, but it certainly was, again, as I said with the Liverpool thing, an awful lot of dots led to an awfully straight line. And it's like, did we do it on purpose? No, I don't think there was that much competence involved to do it, frankly. Where it's like, yeah, let's sell all our players. That way we don't have to play one game.
Yeah.
I don't think that was involved. But they could have waited until after that little period where we had a lot of games in a short amount of time to then loan out players. And then use the likes of Ainley Maitland-Niles and Florian Balogun. Like those players would have been available. But we didn't because we were so desperate to get them off the wage bill because we're like, we need to make room for next season. Let's just take any deal we can. So when, we waited literally to the last moment to get rid of Aubameyang because Barcelona were like, do you want any money? And we're like, yes, any money will do. So like we were in that sort of mode of just get rid everyone. We don't care. Anyone who's not playing, we'll try and save the wage bill because we need to spend next summer.
And the good thing is, like, as much as we're all excited about tomorrow night's game, and it's a massive game, the game in January would have been pretty much a dud.
Yeah.
Because neither side would have been anywhere near the full strength. It would have been, cold Sunday night whereas a summer's evening is a much better thing. So like I understand.
I think in hindsight, we'd both rather play it now.
Yes.
But gunners will always be runners.
Absolutely.
Let's be clear. That is the phrase that pays. Here's a question for you, Stephen. The brains at Cheese Room HQ have come up with this. Or lack of, Davo. Would you have given Arteta a new deal if you were the Arsenal chairman?
Not yet. I would have if Arsenal win tomorrow night.
Have you played since he was given a new deal, by the way?
He was given it Monday morning.
Would this be like a manager of the month thing?
Yeah, where it's like I would have waited. If Arsenal win tomorrow night, I'd literally walk down to his office as the chairman with the contract in hand and go, there you go, mate. Sign there. You wanted an extra 20 grand a week? There you go. Like what Liverpool did with Klopp. When Klopp had said, no, I'm retiring in 2024. That's the end of it. And then he suddenly says in a news conference, I might stay. And the chief executive and everyone's running down to you want to stay? Here's a contract. It's blank. Just whatever you want, you can have it. Like if Arsenal get into the Champions League, then yeah, you hand it. It's automatic. You have to. Like it's a little early, but would I have taken fifth at the start of the season? Yes. Like end of. So like that, we needed to show signs of improvement. We have. We needed to show signs that they're growing as a club and that he's coaching the players better. He is. Martinelli's better than he was 12 months ago. Bukayo Saka is better than what he was 12 months ago. Smith Rowe's kicked on.
What do you think of what he's done with Ozil and Aubameyang?
I mean, look at them now. Like Ozil's been frozen out by Fenerbahce. Like, so Aubameyang is scoring goals for Barcelona, but they're already talking about selling him. Like, they don't want to pay him the wages next year. So, not that, causation should ever equal correlation, but he's been proven right. Like, what he did was set down basically a message to the rest of the team, which is very young, and said, look, I'm doing things my way. If it doesn't work, I'm getting sacked. But you're doing things my way, and that's it. And since then, that team has kicked on. Saka has been, they've given Saka a new contract, Martinelli a new contract. Odegaard has looked an unbelievable player since Aubameyang left, by the way. To the point where it's like he's been talked about as the next captain, just because he's now seen a dressing room and gone, right, this is what I've wanted. I've been a wonder kid since 15. Give me the ball. Give me a team and give me the ball, and I will run for you. And Arsenal are going, right, here's the ball. And suddenly he's grown into a leader and he's grown into someone that can press and do what De Bruyne does from centre midfield. Drift left, drift right. Is he as good as De Bruyne? No one is. But he's 6 years younger. So you can see where this team could go if progression was coronary. And Arteta is part of that. So like he's in a far better position of strength than he was 6 months ago when we were first talking and we were looking at the team and going, is this team getting any better? We were like, I'm not so sure, but this team now is getting better. And with a couple of smart signings in the summer, there's already talk of Gabriel Jesus. Like, you can see what Arsenal are trying to build. They're trying to be Man City light. And
well, I mean, if I didn't know better, Arteta's stolen all of his ideas and is now trying to pick up the Man City B team. from his old boss.
Wouldn't be the worst idea, frankly. Like if that gets you third every year, then you go in and then you go to the next. If Arsenal can get 2 or 3 years solid of Champions League football and establish them back where
big if.
It is a huge if. It's a huge if. But then you can go to the likes of, not Mbappe or Haaland, because they'll always be out of, unless you've got a sheikh or someone who's
you're
just
basically fishing in the same pool as we are, aren't you?
Yeah.
When it comes to
Yeah, but if you've got Champions League football, you've got better lure. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. And if Arsenal have that, then there's not many clubs in. Same with G, like Tottenham with Champions League football. How many clubs can compete with that? Realistically,
it's interesting because you talk about the pull of being a Champions League club. Spurs, in many ways, never saw that. Certainly through the signings, I don't think there were many signings we saw that were people were like, "Yeah, I only went to Spurs because they were in the Champions League." Because at that point, and it's probably the same for Arsenal, it never felt like being a permanent thing. Like when Spurs did it the first few times, it was like, "Oh, we did it." That was a shock, even for us. And the thought that we were going to do it again the following year was like, we'll see, but probably not. And so, listening to you just then, how you describe Arsenal this season feels very similar to what Poch did in his first year and a half. Right? Like he came in and he made Kabul captain, and we all were like, that was a bit weird. And then within 5 months, Kabul was out, and gone. And it just feels that Arteta, because you guys won the FA Cup 2 seasons ago, it almost made him think that he was doing well anyway, and then it kind of fell apart for a bit, and he had to reset completely. But it does appear that where we were when we finished third in the 2-horse race is pretty much where Arsenal are right now. Now, I don't think you'll finish second next year, because I don't think that everyone else will have the transitional seasons that Spurs almost took advantage of. And had it not been for Conte and Chelsea, we would have won the league that year. But it does feel as if next season, you're still going to have the top 3 will be the top 3. I don't see that changing at all. But United, they may turn it around quickly. I don't think they will. So next year, 4th will probably be between Spurs and Arsenal again. And the question is,
I think Man United will be in the mix.
I don't.
No, they are going to go full nuclear. They're going to go rebuild from the start. And if they don't, they're going to go further down.
I sat there thinking today, Chelsea need new defenders because Christensen's going and Rudiger's going, and Liverpool could probably do with a couple of midfielders because Thiago's old and Henderson's getting on. And then obviously Arsenal need strikers because they won't have any at this rate. But United need all of those. There's no part of that United squad where I think, they're set in midfield. They're not. They're not set up top, and they're certainly not set in defence. So as much as I'm not a massive fan of Ten Hag, but it will take him more than a year to do anything. So it does feel as if next season will be okay. If Arsenal get Champions League, then yes, they could turn that into 1 or 2 players. But I still think that when these players that turn around and say, I want Champions League, what they mean is I want regular Champions League.
Yeah.
And right now, only 3 teams can offer that. Right. Yeah. So even though Arsenal will have more money.
The rule change might help that.
Yeah, it's in a few years' time, right? But
it's in 2. But the problem is that it's an extra Champions League spot for us top 6, and then you realize, shit, Newcastle are coming. They're on their way with billions in their pocket too. Instead of being 4 into 6 every year, now it might be 5 to 7.
If I'm a player, I'm thinking if I can go to one of the top 3, I will. And after that, I'm looking to see where I'm going to play or if I'm going to play. And because Arsenal's team is a bit more set than Spurs is, certainly long term, you seem to have players for almost every position, bar striker. We don't. Every single Spurs fan looks at our team, our best team right now, and thinks, well, we'd upgrade the wing backs pretty, easily.
Yeah.
And Davies, we love him, but there's a space there for someone. And so,
to be fair, if you're critiquing the Arsenal team, you would say, well, Ben White, is he really top Premier League level to win the league? Is he as good as Romero?
But Arteta, but it's not that. Arteta rates him. That's the point. Are you going to go to the club and play? And you look at that Arsenal side, Tierney's not exactly always fit, so there might be a space for a left back or a right back, maybe. But everyone else, you're strengthening what's already relatively strong. And
all I'm saying is they need a lot of
upgrades. Sorry?
All I'm saying is Arsenal need a lot of upgrades to do anything.
I don't think they do. I just think that... No, look, I think that if you're a player looking at which club to go to, you're going to think, which one could I come in and be a starter from day one? And I don't think... And this is the central striker at Arsenal. I don't think they really have that. No, because Saka and Martinelli they're not just young, but they're loved by their manager. Like if Saka goes, then fair enough, there'll be a spot there for someone else. But that
I'm looking at that team there, and I'm thinking, yeah, Martinelli, decent player. Saka, very good player. Tomiyasu, very average. Gabriel, very average.
But it's not
Cedric,
not about what you think, Caller. It's
Ramsdale,
about what Arteta
very
thinks.
Average.
It's not about what you think. It's about what Arteta
from an
thinks.
Arsenal perspective, they're going to want to win the league, same as us.
Yeah, but the problem is it's not just building a title winning side, because Leicester did that 6 years ago. The problem with building a title winning side right now in England is that you don't have to beat one of Manchester City or Liverpool. You have to beat both of them. Like the best thing City only have one team to worry about all year, and it's Liverpool. Liverpool only have one team to worry about all year, and it's City. And it's been like that now for 3 years. And City have just bought the second best young striker in the world. And it's by a clear margin. And they've got him for peanuts. So what do you do? Like City might be 20 goals better next year. And so, so suddenly Arsenal now have got to catch that. And then Liverpool might go, as HG said, okay, we need another midfielder. Like they've already, like Fulham are going, oh yeah, we're going to go back up. Yeah, they've just lost their best player to Liverpool for 7 million in Cavallero. So what do you do? Like it's keeping up with the Joneses, and the Joneses are 30 points clear. Like we're 1 point behind Chelsea, who won the European Cup last year. Won. We beat them 4-2 away. Like Chelsea have found a striker, and they spent 100 million quid on a striker who we all thought was going to make them an absolute monster of a team, and look what happened. So like it's gonna you got to focus on your own team first, and it's like, how can I make upgrades to this team? And like, is Gabriel the biggest name in the league? No, but he's probably he's one of the most consistent defenders in the league, where he doesn't make many mistakes. Ben White. I know Ben White's name doesn't hold much stock in this podcast, especially from the guest, but Ben White's a good player in that system. Tomiyasu is a brilliant defensive right back. And what he does is he lets Saka just piss off and play right wing. Yeah. So like they are good players in the system that Arsenal are trying to play. It's whether you can get better players, but will those players fit in the way Arsenal want to play? And that's the thing. It's like, City with Aguero. Aguero's a wonderful player. Absolute brilliant striker. Pep dropped him every chance he could. Why? Because he doesn't like playing with strikers who won't run. So, like, it's just one of those things where it's horses for courses. And you look at that Tottenham side. Like, you look at the Tottenham side now, and he's like, could City win the league if it had Kane, Son, and Kulusevski up front? Yes, it could. Could Liverpool win the league if it had Kane, Son, and Kulusevski up front? Yes, it could. Like, could Liverpool win the league if it had Romero, Dyer, Ben Davies, and insert two of your wing backs here? No, it couldn't. Couldn't not get anything close without Van Dijk. So that's the thing. You've got to find players that fit your system, and whether Arsenal can do that, getting fourth or getting fifth, is going to be the key, because Arsenal have a better chance of getting someone in with their fourth, because then you can go to a young lad like if you want a striker, like go to Nkunku, the young lad out of Red Bull Leipzig, who was brilliant all year. Like, it's a lot easier sell to him to say, right, finish this team off. You be the jewel in the crown if you're fourth and a rising than you are if you're fifth or sixth. And if Arsenal finish fifth, it's still a decent year, because we all thought we were going to be seventh or eighth again. We all thought we were hopeful, but we're going to have European football. But if Tottenham finish fifth, does Kane stay?
Yes, Kane stays regardless.
He stays regardless.
Well,
is that now because like there's nowhere to go?
Partly, but mainly because Conte's the manager, and Daniel Levy don't want to sell him. And you've seen Daniel Levy's will in dealing with City last summer. You know, in reality, Kane can want what he wants. He's got 2 years left on his contract.
Well, that begs the second question.
I just don't see the business that the business that is Tottenham Hotspur parting company with him.
That begs the second question? If you finish 5th, does Conte stay?
Yeah, because Conte didn't expect to be. Conte signed an 18-month contract with an option of another year, right? And he didn't expect them to be 4th when he signed that contract. Absolutely no way. You know, and he says it almost in every press conference. You know, it's a miracle that we're in this position. You know, no one thought, basically, look what a great job I've done, because he is an egomaniac. But the fact remains, I do think when he took the job, he had no chance of finishing 4th. Becky, we've not heard from you for ages because the two HGs have been going at it. Conte, he stays if we're 5th, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think since that few days where he had to come out and say it was fake news, he's changed his kind of tone a little bit in press conferences. And he's used the word "we" today, hasn't he? Something along the lines of just getting started, or we're on the road to something and we're starting it, or something like that.
It was in the context of building a championship-winning team, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. Needing patience, wasn't he? He said something about needing patience. He said we're on the way to it, or something like that. But also, I think the Haaland thing does help Kane. I think if Kane is happy to stay and Conte's happy to stay, I think they are unfortunately a kind of two together. So, you know, Kane's happy, Conte's happy kind of thing. So it's a bit all or nothing, really.
If Levy decides he wants to sell Kane, right, because it would be Levy's call most likely, then Conte walks and you lose both. Yeah. So there's no way, like, even if the Man City job was still open and Haaland had gone to Real Madrid like he was supposed to, I still don't think we'd be selling Kane. Even if he might want to go. For Spurs, you talked about, you know, looking at yourself first. It makes no sense for Spurs to sell Kane this summer, just like it made no sense last summer. It's all going to be about trying to build with what we have. And, like, you know, I do feel that if Spurs finish 5th, which does appear likely, right? If we get 5th, but we have Conte, the pull of Conte would be equal to Arsenal and 4th if they get that. And the money side of things, yeah, like obviously the Champions League is a huge money spinner for whoever's in it. But I think the whole point of the Spurs' new stadium was that even if we didn't have it, we'd still be okay. Yeah. So it's like, if I'm a player, like, if I'm a player and I have the choice of joining Arsenal or Spurs right now, I guess it's all about, you know, what I want long term, because it looks like Arsenal are going to stay and be a relatively solid thing for the next few years, unless they get picked off by bigger clubs, which could happen if they don't continue to improve. And Spurs are in that place where, look, you know, right now we've probably got a couple of years with Conte. There's a good chance that maybe Kane and Conte leave at the same time. Who knows? But it's all about, you know, what you want to do to progress your career. Some players, you know, want to make that big move and stay there forever. I don't think any player is looking at Spurs and Arsenal and thinking, I want to be there for the next decade. They're looking at making a step to possibly go somewhere else. And hey, if it works out and we do really well and we don't, but it's a weird thing, especially as a, you know, if I'm a player thinking at Spurs, Levy doesn't sell within the Premier League. Whereas Arsenal do have kind of, you know, they've done that, right? Yeah. They've done that. So signing for Spurs almost says you will never play for, you know, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, or whoever the biggest teams are, because Levy will be a bit of a wanker about it. So it is an interesting question, but I just think that, weirdly enough, Spurs and Conte and 5th is about the same pull to me as Arsenal with Arteta and 4th. I do think that.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, like when Conte signed, I think he might have taken 5th.
Or
you know, like, you know, so like it is a good seed. Like the chance of 4th is there.
This is the issue, right? If you'd have asked Spurs fans at the start of the season, would you take 5th? Most of them have gone, yes. If you'd have asked Arsenal fans at the beginning of the season, would you have taken 5th? Most of them would say,
yep. Yeah. 100%. 100%.
But if you'd have said to the Arsenal fans, but Spurs are going to finish 4th and it's going to be really close, and vice versa, that's where the issue comes in, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the chance of it. It's now it's like I'll give you 5th, but you throw away 4th.
Yeah.
You know, I think also possibly people feel as well, I've seen that a lot in the chat and I've seen that a lot on Twitter recently, is that I think even honest Arsenal fans will feel that they're probably going to struggle in the Champions League. either team that actually qualifies for the Champions League is going to actually struggle. So if we do end up getting fifth, either Arsenal or Spurs, they'd probably have a more successful Europa League campaign than they would in the Champions League, because neither team is at that point yet.
Villarreal were 2-2 half-time with Liverpool in the semi-final last week. You know, like it is a cup. Like, it's more of a cup than maybe anything else we have at the moment. And again, just being in it, just gives your manager and your sales team, it just gives them a better pitch. You know, it makes a better sales pitch too. Like I said, an Nkunku or an Agabemi or someone like that, a 22, 23-year-old really big name prospect in Europe, and go, right, okay, come to Arsenal. We've got Champions League football. You know, like when Arsenal haven't had it for 4 or 5 years, and over the last couple of years have been nowhere near it. You're not asking them, okay, come to win it. You're saying come to play it. And then you're hoping with a little bit of stability, you can keep building. And then, like I said, Liverpool were fourth, bought Van Dijk and Alisson, won 28, drew 1 of 29 league games. You know, like it's, you know, it's a long-term thing of just building. And that's where maybe Tottenham fell short at the end of Pochettino, where they got right to the last step.
Oh, definitely.
Twice.
Yeah.
You know, they got to they should have won the league that Leicester won. Well, maybe Arsenal should have as well, but one of them, you know, and then the Chelsea one, they had a half decent chance, and then you're in a European Cup final. Like, you know, you had 2 shots at the bell and you missed twice. And, you know, now, are you glad you had those 2 shots? Of course you are, but that's the difference between what Tottenham did 3 years ago and what City are able to do with their hundreds of millions, and what Liverpool are doing now with just a brilliant coach and a brilliant transfer, a brilliant scouting team. You know, whereas like they're able to, you know, just slightly build. Are they going to be able to find a Van Dijk in 3 years? No, of course not. But, and are we going to have to wait until Pep sods off to Spain in 2 years and Klopp finally retires in 3 or 4? Maybe, but that's just, you know, like if you're there about to pounce, if you're the Arsenal, you're a young emerging team, and suddenly City fall away and Liverpool fall away, and suddenly 85 points wins the league instead of 100. You'd rather be there waiting to pounce than be 6th, 7th in the Europa League or the Europa Conference League, going through a manager every 18 months. So it's, you know, you're trying to position yourself not to win the league next year, because no one thinks Arsenal's going to win the next, like, not a chance. But,
Becky, this is the first North London derby, believe it or not, played in front of a full capacity at the new stadium. How much impact is that going to make?
Huge. And I think that's why all the TIFO stuff is out there, because the atmosphere, for whatever reason, has been flat, but that's due to fixture kickoff times and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's good. Like we said before, Spurs do well when they start well. So building the atmosphere and all of that, and the flags and the TIFO and the whatever song gets played before kickoff, and, you know, drinking all afternoon and having the day off on Friday and all those sort of things, hopefully will transcend to the pitch. You know, Spurs have worked. They've worked hard all week, sending out lots of pictures and videos of how the players are ready and they're up for it, and we've heard all that before. But hopefully that, you know, the crowd does enable that to happen on the pitch as well.
I'm deliberately not watching any of it so it doesn't piss me off. Let's look at this. So this is form in North London derbies. So Arsenal's last win at Spurs was the league win, I should say, was the 2013 Rosicky Screamer. Previous to that was 2007. So we should feel good about this, shouldn't we? I mean, you know, it's a long time since Arsenal have really turned us over at home in the league. A couple of League Cup games in Hot Lane at that time. But yeah, you know, look, good form, right, HG?
Yeah.
If what happened in 2008 had any bearing on what happens tomorrow, it's a great idea. But no, look, I don't think Arsenal, like, it's more likely that Spurs win than Arsenal. But you know, there's a couple of draws in there as well. So I just, and as we talked about, like, if Spurs went into the game knowing that Arsenal needed to win, we'd be sitting here with the confidence that Stephen's probably got, right? Stephen knows that even if Arsenal lose against Spurs, it's still in their hands. There's nothing Spurs can do about it. So it's, it looks good to go back in time and say, yeah, when Arsenal weren't as good as they are now, Spurs turned them over. but they are better than they were, and so are we in some ways. Certainly better than we would have been in January.
There's Arsenal's form, obviously. I mean,
can I have one of those L's? Just one. It's so annoying that just even the home one to Brighton. Just give us that one. Like then
we had that as well.
No,
it's.
Stephen, you beat Chelsea, Man United, and West Ham 3 in a row.
Know,
so
yeah,
you can't have those L's back. If you can have one of those L's if we take 2 of those W's.
Yeah, it's
it was just unbelievable. Some of the luck you've had along the way has been mind blowing. Bruno Fernandes missing a penalty for starters.
Yeah, but he's been awful for 6 months.
What was he doing taking the penalty?
Yeah,
on the pitch.
He takes all the ones on TV.
You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah. Have you not seen that?
That can't be a thing. Really?
Looking back for the last year and a half.
Because Ronaldo scored against us.
Oh,
God, really?
Yep.
Man.
Yeah, it wasn't a penalty though.
Ronaldo scored 5 against us this year. One of them must have been a penalty at some point.
They weren't at Old Trafford. Can't remember the other game.
Here's what's to come. So, Stephen,
Everton will be safe by the time Arsenal play them because Leeds are capitulating.
Possibly safe, yeah, quite likely. But Dele Alli's still got a point to prove. Three games each. I'm going to ask you, Stephen, what's your prediction?
I predicted with a question, but it's half a question. Would you put money on ye scoring more goals against us than against Burnley in 3 days later?
No idea.
Like if it was anyone else other than Burnley who are literally going to sit back and do nothing, I would say grand. But Tottenham have an awful habit of playing 2 games close together, and the first game being unbelievable, the second game being shocking. And upturn Burnley, who won't be safe, no matter what way the results go, because they're not playing tonight or tomorrow night. Their first game for a week is going to be Sunday. And they had an absolute shock. They're in good form, but they had a shocker against Villa.
Obviously, Everton drew at Watford tonight.
Yeah. So if Everton win against Brentford, then they're 4 points clear leads.
But that's a massive if. Brentford have been playing very well.
But they might be on holiday now. It is a big if, but Everton have been not too bad. My point being is that I wouldn't surprise me if Tottenham beat Arsenal 2-1 and then drew at home 0-0 to Burnley. Yeah. That's the way it would go. Just being the way they've gone this season, where the first game they've been really good and the second one they've been bad.
Let's predict those fixtures then. So go on, you predict Arsenal's, and I'm going to get the Tottenham guys to predict theirs. So Tottenham away, what are you going to do?
I hope for a draw, but I can see it being 2-1 Tottenham.
Okay, so let's say Spurs win that game. So point behind. Newcastle away, what are you getting from that?
A point.
Okay.
And then they absolutely smash Everton.
Smash Everton. Okay. So basically, on that logic, if Spurs beat Burnley and Norwich, we're home and dry, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But our game against Newcastle will completely be determined on how we set up in Newcastle will be completely determined on how you play against Burnley the day before.
Yeah.
We do have that's a massive advantage playing the Monday night, because if you draw against Burnley, we are going to literally put tanks, buses, any Sports Direct shop we can find in front of our goal, in front of the Gallagher, because we know 0-0 will be fine.
But equally,
but if you win.
Equally, Spurs will send the kitchen sink at Burnley as well, I think. But Interestingly, no TIFO plan for Burnley. Becky,
though.
Come on then, predict those results.
I think it'll be 3-1 to Spurs tomorrow night. I think we'll beat Burnley 1-0 because Burnley will have to come out at us. They can't sit back and get a draw. It won't be enough for them. So I think they'll have to kind of play slightly differently than they used to. So that might work in our advantage. But the 12 o'clock kickoff is just shocking after Thursday night as well.
Yeah, that's
for the supporters as well as the players.
Thursday night to Sunday morning, that's outrageous.
And Norwich, I don't know. It depends. Obviously, Norwich are down. They like playing at home. Last game of the season, I don't know how that will go. But I'd like to think we'd win it. But, if we win all 3 games, then it's fine. But that's a massive if.
Very big if. HG?
I think Newcastle will get something against Arsenal. So, Stevens kind of showed that he thinks the Burnley game is the crucial one. I tend to agree with it. Like, we need to beat Arsenal. And I'm genuinely pretty negative when it comes to Spurs because I'm 43 and it's been my life. But yeah, at home with 58,000 behind us or 60,000 or whatever it's going to be, yes, we'll nick it. But yeah, I actually think that Spurs being first at the weekend is an advantage because then we can, that awful phrase, put pressure on Arsenal. And if Arsenal go to Newcastle needing to win, it'll be a great game because Newcastle are a pretty good side and
Trippier's already said he wants to do Tottenham a favour and Burnley.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I just think that with Newcastle, they've won a lot of games since Eddie Howe took over, but against the big 6, they've been woeful and not won anything. I don't think so. But Newcastle, we know what that crowd's like. It's a Monday night on Sky. If Spurs are ahead going into that game, it's going to be huge. But can ask me again? After tomorrow's game because that we could talk about Sunday being massive or Monday being massive, but Spurs need to win, and I'm hopeful, but it is only hopeful.
It is mad how there's only 3 games left, yet there are so many permutations and so many things we have to take into account, like in each individual game. Like I've seen I've seen the comments there, like the word Spursy is coming up a couple of times. It wouldn't be Spursy to lose to Burnley. It would be Spursy to lose to Norwich away. With them being. With them being completely on holiday, being smashed left, right, and centre, and then them deciding, do you know what, Timo Pukki's going to score, one more goal at Carrow Road, and that'll be in of it, and they win 1-0. And then suddenly we're like, well, why did we spend last 3 weeks worrying when they were going to lose to Tottenham? That's that would be Spursy, but it would be just as Arsenal to draw against G and then lose to Newcastle and then draw to Everton. And then you only need 2 wins, and then you qualify with true goal difference.
Maybe tomorrow night, Xhaka and Romero should just have a fight in the first 5 minutes. That way, they can both get their red cards out of the way.
Play 10 men,
and then go 10 men versus 10 men and see who wins that. That would be kind of interesting. I know it would weaken Spurs a lot more than it would do Arsenal, but we're talking about getting the players up for the game. As far as Spurs fans are concerned, we don't want Romero to be up for it. Normal Romero is enough.
Yeah.
Right. It's the other ones, and how they show that they're up for it. It's going to be. You're going to need more than just running, right? You are going to need a little bit of Lamella, a little bit of afters.
Did I say running and Gooners in the same sentence?
Sorry.
Did you say running and Gooners in the same sentence?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, anyway, go on.
I wasn't going to say that. I didn't want to interrupt you.
You've been interrupting me all night, caller, but it's all right.
Someone's got to.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to have to go now.
See you later, Becky. Thanks for joining.
I think we'll win 3-1. We'll win 3-1.
I'll take that. I'll absolutely take that as a prediction. I think just for my benefit, I want to give my prediction. So we're going to win all 3 games. That's what we're going to do. We're going to win all 3 games. We're going to 10 games up tomorrow night. Burnley is going to be a huff and a puff and like a 93rd minute winner from a header from a corner, which nearly never happens. But it's going to be, lastminute.com. And then we're going to stuff Norwich 4-0 because let's face it, they're bloody awful. And the Goons are going to lose to us and sadly win their last 2 fixtures, and we're just going to miss out on top 4. That would be my prediction. Narrow, but I just genuinely,
that's the boring one. But it's the more likely, but it's the boring one.
I just genuinely don't see you slipping up against Newcastle, sadly. I know a lot of people in the chat are. I want to believe that. I absolutely want to believe that. But as HG he's kind of stolen my thunder. I was going to point out the Newcastle record against the top teams is terrible. You know, we scored early against them and ripped them to pieces. There was so much space; it was ridiculous. And
they went one up in that game, Caller, and then we got an equaliser. And in
quickly.
The second half,
we tore them to bits. Absolutely tore them to shreds. I just honestly think that against quality they struggle. They've got a long way to go. I hope I'm wrong. And don't get me wrong, St James's will be absolutely rocking. I'm quite sure for last game. I think it's their last home game of the season, isn't it? So you know they'll have that to play for. And I remember actually. No, I'm going to change it now. I'm going to change it on the basis that when we went up there last game of the season, I think we got beat 5-1, didn't we, or something? When we thought they had nothing to play for. So there you go. They do turn up last game of the season. Let that be a warning to Stephen. In fact, fuck it. I'm ripping it up. We're going to get top 4. Get excited. It's going to happen.
All that logic just went out the window. But that's the thing. Like a win for you tomorrow night.
Bye, Becky.
See you, Becky.
Sorry, Bex. Take care.
Like they win tomorrow night. You win tomorrow night, and then it's lemon booty again. Everyone's clenching. It's like now you're going through this. Now you're going through the opposition's website and going, right, is he injured? Is he injured? Can we sort out him or there? Like it's little details. VAR is going to get involved somewhere. We don't know where, but it will. It won't be able to help itself, and then go from there. Or it can make lives easy for all of us. We don't have to worry about this at all, and just Arsenal win 1-0, and it saves us 2 weeks of worrying. Yeah, just nice, easy, and nice, easy euthanasia. Kill it all off. Save us all worrying. We can go about our ways, not a bother at all. But none of us want that, really, do we?
No. We certainly don't.
No. But it's like I say, it's almost like it's like I said, I wish I was more nervous about it. Like I'm more nervous about the prospect of maybe winning it and having Champions League football and going, oh my God, we've actually done it. Like the prospect of that happening tomorrow night is more encouraging than the prospect of losing it. Because you don't want to lose it, because of course you don't want to lose it. But it doesn't matter if Arsenal lose it tomorrow night, and it doesn't matter by how much. Like could get spanked 5-6. Doesn't matter. We're already losing the goal difference race. If we finish a goal difference, we're losing anyway. So if we lose by 4 or 5, it's not going to affect that at all. So if they do go 2-3 and up, fine.
That momentum though as well, isn't it? That momentum. So you're getting beat 5-0 and then having to go get something at Newcastle and pick yourselves up and motivate yourself is a lot harder than losing narrowly 2-1, I'd argue.
But as you saw with the Arsenal's recent form, as you pulled up, lost to Brighton, lost to Crystal Palace, lost to Southampton, and then 2 weeks later Chelsea go there and pump 6 past them, and then we go and beat Chelsea, West Ham, and Manchester United in the space of a week. Momentum is a fickle thing at the best of times. So, like I said, I don't think they'll win just because Tottenham's a hard place to go to. Arsenal don't do up very well there anyway. But this, again, just the way two teams are set up, I can't see Arsenal conceding early, and I can't see Tottenham really pushing forward the way their fans might want them to, just because they don't play like that. They're not an all-out attack side. They wait.
I don't know. I think we'll be at it. I
think you'll have more of the ball, but I don't think you'll do much with it. If you know what I mean.
I think they will.
No, it's weird that like our entire attacking thing, as we talked about, comes down the wings. And so if you play it towards Son or you play it towards Kulusevski, and their job is to either hold on to it or to try and find the runners. And if the wing backs are running forward, then okay, well, we don't have great options there. But it may well be down to someone like Ben Davies, who does get forward relatively often and has come close to actually getting through on the end of things. It's almost going to be those wide centre backs making the runs. And that is full gung-ho stuff. But bearing in mind that Emerson Royal is a much better defender than he is anything else, it might make a bit more sense for Spurs to say, you know what, Romero, you go, right? Yeah. Like you go. And it would be weird because then Royal has to deal with Martinelli, and that gives me panics. But at some point, you're right, Spurs will have to make those decisions, and will have to want to go out and try and break Arsenal down. And Arsenal will be quite happy to keep it amongst their midfield three. And see what they can do, and they'll be looking to build pressure, and Spurs just needs to, make sure that they can't do that. Like it really is on Spurs to force the game. And you're right, like there's no real example of, certainly Spurs' best performance have not been from us doing that. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying 3-1. What are you saying, HG?
What am I saying? I'd be putting money on 1-1 if I'm honest, but obviously Spurs will win, and it'll be nervous time next week.
Prediction's absolutely fine because I don't want to take I told you so.
Honest prediction, 1-1, because Arsenal will find a way to score. Probably, it'll deflect into someone's path from 5 yards, like a couple of goals that Chelsea did. But yeah, I don't know, 1-1.
I can see us going behind and winning 3-1. That's what I think, Stephen.
I think if you go behind, I think the game's over. Frankly, like Spurs need to score first. I think it'll be 2-1 Spurs. I think it'll be a close enough game, and just either Kane or Son will just win it by themselves. Where it'll be like a half chance with 20 minutes to go or something like that. And then if Arsenal go chasing the draw with 5 minutes to go, maybe tack on a third. Something along those lines.
Kerry's been on the sauce.
Optimism is a potent drug, but I don't expect an open game. Like, there's no reason for Arsenal to play an open game at all, and they've proven that they can close down a game quite well. So, like I said, the longer it goes 0-0, the more Spurs will be inclined to push, and the more that plays into Arsenal's hands because. As Heishi says, their options aren't really to push the wing-backs forward because they're doing that as it is. Their options are to push the outside centre-backs forward, and that's where Arsenal love to attack, that space, that half space. That's where Odegaard is. Odegaard would line up exactly in front of Ben Davies. He won't play as a 10. He'll always play as a inside right, I should say. And then Saka would almost stand beside him to go around the wing-back, and then they do that. So... if it's going to be the opposition centre backs that attack Arsenal, Martinelli or Smith Rowe, I think Smith Rowe plays instead of Martinelli personally, just because. Do you really?
Because that's the question, isn't it? Like everyone else kind of picks itself, but
he's better keeping the ball. And if it is going to be a case of Tottenham attacking with their centre backs, I'd rather have Smith Rowe in that inside left than Martinelli, because Martinelli would go round and Smith Rowe would go in. Mm-hmm. You saw Smith Rowe against 5 at the back against Chelsea, and Chelsea didn't have an arse's roar part of picking up because they had no idea where he was going to be.
Yeah.
So I would say Smith Rowe just because he's a little bit better defensively, and then 20 minutes to go if you need a goal, then you bring on Martinelli. It's a better attacking option. So but I'm glad it's too hard to call because that's what makes it so great. None of us have nothing really. We'd like to have an opinion, and we all care, but we're all shit scared of what could happen. We don't want to commit to anything just in case we jinx it. And it's great. It's great. I'd rather be scared of games like this than be mid-table mediocrity or something like that. Like, I'm glad a game like this has stakes again. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that this game actually matters, that this is a properly important game, for both clubs. And, we're talking tens of millions, if not £100 million might be riding on this game if Arsenal win. It's genuine stakes on this. And it's about time. It's been too long. Like I said, the most important game, played at White Hart Lane between these two sides is 2006 when we had the brawl between John and Wenger, and before that was the game that I won't mention on this podcast. It's that long, and it shouldn't be that long.
Who would you back in the fight, Arteta or the mad Italian?
Well, Arteta's tiny. Never go against the Italian. The problem with Conte is that even if you beat Conte, full well on your way home you're getting whacked. Yeah. You might win that fight. You're not winning the war. You're not going to be able to get home in time to celebrate. Absolutely no chance. Although Arteta with that hair and that style, he might know a couple of people too.
Is there any chance that Arteta decides to do what Pep does and weirdly throws in a completely different plan for one particular game? Could we see that at least?
Well, I mean, if Pep's told him what to do, which I think is quite often the case, then maybe.
I mean, he's played Saka at left back and right back before.
Yeah.
It is in him.
Played Son at left back, so let's,
Yeah, only the ones, thankfully. But yeah.
disastrously. Right, look, we're going to wrap it up here. It's been a pleasure talking to you both. I'm going to get on the train to London at 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'm genuinely really excited and buzzing about getting down to a North London derby with a crowd, because let's face it, it's been a while. It's going to be great. We're going to win. We're going to get top 4. Believe in Tottenham Hotspur. Stephen, thanks for joining me, and I'm sorry about the tears.
No. You can grab a glass. It looks like, because with the NFL in Tottenham, my beloved Green Bay Packers are finally coming over to London, and they'll be in the Tottenham Stadium in, I think it's October. So you might get a chance to grab my tears, put them in a glass, and drink them yourself.
Perfect. I look forward to it. HG, thank you very much as ever for being the I'd say the voice of reason, but no, just the voice of the cheese room.
Cheers.
And until next time, we're going to beat Arsenal. Come on, 3-1. We beat the scum 3-1. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Try the video again.
Will I sing the song now?
No, it's gone back.